Okay, I'm John Benson with Wyoming Technology Business Center, and I'm here with John Darcy, and it's a few minutes after the E2E meeting on Wednesday, and John, I heard just great things about the meeting. And this video is really targeted the people that weren't able to be with us tonight. So as you think about some of the points that you made, what would you want them to know to be able to take out of the meeting that you had?
The single biggest thing point I can make is you get out what you put in. And if you can't prepare for funding meetings enough, to be scripted and to have very good detailed points you want to make and answers to questions. Because the other side of the table is sitting there wanting to invest, but at the same time looking for reasons to say no. So you don't want to give them any chance to tune out, any reason to say no, and that comes from preparation.
Right. So your title of your talk tonight was Things That I Learned the Hard Way. Stuff that I learned the hard way.
And some of it was painfully hard.
And it was really focused on an entrepreneur going out and pitching their deal to somebody that might be interested in funding that.
Correct. As I said, I've sat on both sides of the funding table. I called it the check writing side and the begging side, or better yet, the groveling side. And these are things that I've learned and mistakes I've seen and mistakes I've made.
And you told a story tonight that I thought was really interesting. It was the one about the glycol. If you could just give us that story a little bit about where you were working with an entrepreneur and you were trying to raise money, and how did you do the pitch?
Exactly. The punchline of that story is that everything comes down to clarity of product explanation. What is it you really have? Right. And does anybody want it? Right. Do you have any customers? And the rest of it, the business plan, the financial model, all the secondary background work, the management, all that's important. I cannot dismiss that. But in our presentations, all we focused on is the patent we had, that the product worked, and we demonstrated that it worked, and a list of customers that we had spoken to. The entire elevator pitch was just those 2 points and 50 words or 100 words. And people sat at the meeting paying very close attention, especially when I said the magic word, customers.
And so this is a product. Glycol is antifreeze.
Glycol is a chemical that's used in automotive antifreeze. It's used as a heat transfer agent, particularly in machine cooling. It's also used to de-ice airplanes. It's used to make polyesters and a number of other products too. And most of it is discarded after use. It's just flushed right down the toilet, literally, just flushed to open waters, which is allowed because it's water soluble, non-toxic by EPA. But it's really,
and they use a lot of it.
They use unbelievable quantities of this worldwide.
What did you say,
and
8 billion?
It's 600 billion gallons in various forms. It's astronomical. And most of it goes right down the sewer, as I said. And so we found a way to recycle it and get it back to ASTM standards, which is the virgin standard.
So you took this to big companies. And
we took this.
What did you find?
The first thing we found was, as with any presentation, some slight disbelief. Can you really do this? Who are you guys? The usual stuff. And then we demonstrated that we can really do it. We gave them samples. They tested the samples. They have their own labs, R&D facilities, and they came back to us and they said, this stuff really works. And I told you. And how much of it would you like to buy? And we entered into a discussion. We told them we have no plant. We can't make it yet. We're in a startup mode. But if we had this, would you buy it? Of course, they would buy it, and they told us how much they would buy. And that was the basis of the presentation to the money.
And this is a company that you're getting ready to take public right now.
We're in the process of taking it public right now.
And so the story here is
this is after 6 or so years of work.
But the story here is when you raised the money. Was this the initial capitalization of the business?
Yes.
And so when you raised that money, all you talked about was customer and market. that these customers they would buy as much as you could make.
Exactly. All we talked about.
Which I think is a really interesting
By the way,
thing to do.
Very interesting point. We didn't have a business plan.
Really?
We had no business plan. That came later. We had an outline of a business plan. We had done the most important aspect of the business plan. We had our financial model. Right. So we knew exactly how this was going to flow over the years. Right. But all the fancy written words, we hadn't done that yet.
So you told one more story, John, if we can do it quickly, and it was the guy with the open-headed wrench.
That's so painful.
And,
that is so painful.
And this is someone who came to you with this deal and wanted you to be an investor in it. And this was a deal that at the beginning didn't look interesting until you saw the product and how it would work.
I didn't know what it was. I heard, a friend of mine told me over the phone, you have to see this new open-ended wrench. And I said, I don't want to see another open-ended wrench. I own a garage full of open-ended wrenches of all different kinds, and it's already been done. No, but when I saw what this guy had, it totally opened my eyes. New technology.
And what was that?
It was literally an electrified open-ended wrench with micro servo motors embedded in the head that spun the nut, which allowed an open-ended wrench to go over a nut that had a tube in it. And a nut with a tube, think of a fuel line or a brake line. You have hundreds of those in your car. Boeing has thousands of them in their planes, and so forth and so forth. And so it's a real issue on an assembly line, or in a precision assembly like an airplane, to be able to tighten that bolt and torque it to a spec at the same time. This even had a torque meter built into it.
Right. And you were amazed by this, and you knew that on an assembly line, this would be an attractive product for people.
It would be unbelievable. I knew as soon as I held the product in my hand and worked it, I knew I could sell zillions of these. Zillions.
And so he was looking for investment, and when you said, well, what do you want?
Yeah, he was looking for investment. When I asked him what he wanted, he had not thought this through at all. At all. And frankly, when he told me, when he answered my question, what do you want, I almost cried, because I knew it was a dead bunny right there. Yeah. And that's what it turned out to be.
Yeah, so he wanted to give up very little, and he wanted a lot of money for it.
He wanted to give up very little. He didn't value the money. He valued he was in what I call, and many people call, kiss the baby stage. Please look at my baby. Isn't it a beautiful baby? Don't you love my baby? Right. And we tell these people, babies got to grow up. Babies can't be a baby forever. And he never realized that.
And this was 15 years ago.
More than 15-year-old story.
And this product's never hit the market.
Never hit the market. No.
And it was a dynamite product. Could have made him a lot of money.
I told him at the meeting, and the meeting occurred in my home at my kitchen table. I told him I would personally write him a sizable check on the spot if we could cut a deal, because I knew exactly what to do with it. Then we need more money and so forth to really commercialize this. No, I don't want to do this. No, you guys are just trying to steal it from me. And went on and on like that. I knew it was over.
So that's a recap of the meeting tonight, and we really appreciate you checking out this video. Thank you.